Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. If everyone please take a seat. Ask everyone to please take a seat. I want to welcome everyone to the Dawson County Board of Commissioners voting session. Today is Thursday, April 17th, 2025. Appreciate those that are with us in attendance, as well as those that are with us online. We'll start out with a roll call. Let the record show that all 5 commissioners are present. I'll ask everyone to please stand for a brief invocation and pledge. If you would bow your heads, please. Our dear gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and for the many blessings of life. We ask that you give us knowledge and wisdom to carry out the business of this county. Anything that we do, we'll give you the honor and glory. In Christ's name, we do ask and pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Are there any announcements on the board? Any announcements on the board? We'll move on to the approval of the minutes. First up, we have the minutes of the work session held on April 3rd, 2025. Any additions or deletions? Motions?
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Motion by Commissioner Stowers. Seconded by Commissioner Turkett. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And those are approved. 3 with 1 abstention. Next up, we have the minutes voting session held on April 3rd, 2025. Any additions or deletions? Motions?
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Motion by Commissioner Stowers. Second by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved. 3 with 1 abstention. All right. Next up, we have the approval agenda. I have 2 changes to the agenda. On the agenda under item G, public hearing, we will be taking that off the agenda this afternoon due to the fact that the first hearing was supposed to be held at the Planning Commission. They didn't have a quorum, so they were not able to hear that. So that'll be taking off the agenda tonight. The other thing with the board's approval is I'm going to move in zoning number ZA 2502 to second, and then zoning number 2410 will be third in the zoning list with the approval of the board. And those are the 2 changes to the agenda. So I'll accept a motion with those changes.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gaines, seconded by Commissioner Stowers. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0 with the changes. All right, we'll move down. No one signed up for public comment in this section, so we'll move on down to zonings. First up, let me read the rules by which we will go in the zoning process tonight. The planning director will present the application and recommendation of the Planning Commission. We'll hear from the applicant. We'll open the hearing. We'll hear from those in favor of the application. We'll hear from those that are opposed to the application. Each person wishing to speak will be allotted 3 minutes per our zoning guidelines. Anyone who speaks will need to sign in and give us your name and address. Also, if anyone has donated $250 or more to any candidate, you will need to fill out a form stating so. So first up, we have VA 2506. Karen Yost has submitted an appeal request to the proper authorities requesting an appeal of the variance approved by the Planning Commission on March 18th, 2025, in which Gary and Christina Willis were granted a reduction of the east side property line setback for a proposed accessory building approximately 3,500 square feet in size for personal use in the residential agriculture district from 25 feet to 10 feet. This property is approximately 3.1 acres located at 256 White Rock Drive off Abbott Creek Road, vicinity of Jill Slayton Road, and the parcel is 088-016-002. Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So on March 18, the Planning Commission heard the variance application, which was approved for Gary and Christina Willis, who own this 3.1 acre property zoned RA agriculture. And they propose to build a new personal use accessory building. The variance is to reduce the east side property line setback for an accessory structure from 25 feet to 10 feet. This accessory structure would be about 3,500 square feet. And there is varying topography at the proposed building site. If the building was shifted 15 feet west, it would be further down sloping towards the existing driveway and house. The proposed building would be approximately 300 feet or more from the nearest off-property house. Planning Commission and staff did not find significant negative impacts to surrounding properties. Planning Commission found that topography was a factor for consideration. Planning Commission approved the request. This appeal by Karen Yost is one where the vote by the Board of Commissioners will be either to affirm the decision of the Planning Commission or overturn it.
Questions for Richard?
Is this appeal the first time that Karen Yost has come forward, or did she have some concerns in the beginning when it was presented at Planning Commission?
Ms. Yost was here at Planning Commission meeting and voiced those concerns and was not satisfied with the decision and has appealed it to the BOC as is allowed per county code.
Sure. I just wanted to ask how that worked from the beginning.
And I believe 2 years ago, when we went through some changes, zoning changes, we had it at 10 feet and we increased it to 25 approximately 2 years ago, correct?
There have been changes that were placed in effect in 2023 that changed a variety of setbacks. So yes, that is a factor for consideration.
Other questions for Richard?
In the packet, it looked like he had a existing structure that was within that 10-foot setback, and that was prior to the 2023, but it was dilapidated, is that correct? Or it needed to be replaced?
So something where, as I understand it, in talking to the applicant, was not suitable for the needs of not just being able to use the property, get things away from his house, but have them in an enclosed building, be able to, within this building, not have it for commercial use, not have it as a residence, but have it for storage and a hobby shop. So it's really something where, yes, the old structure was so small that it probably did not even need a permit when it was put up. And so, yes, also the rules have changed.
But he is essentially planning to put it back right where it was, in essence, just a bigger footprint.
Yes, sir.
Other questions for Richard?
Want to point of clarification. It looks like the main structure, looks like there's a lean-to off the side that would be the piece that was encroaching upon it. The main structure itself is over the 25 feet.
That's right. Yes, sir. So it's essentially a building with 3 sections. The middle section that is the tallest to allow for bigger pieces of equipment and more storage. And then the part farther away towards his house, that will be really kind of the hobby shop area where it will, probably have a mini split or something like that. And it'll have, all utilities. And then the closest to the neighboring property line, that's right, will essentially be an enclosed lean-to for storage, yeah.
Okay, just so that I understand. The building that was dilapidated that was there before some of this stuff got passed, had it not been dilapidated and he just wanted to do something new to it, would he have had to get a variance?
So essentially, it's now, for better or worse, non-conforming. And that means it's as is can sit there, but
If he touches it,
a non-conforming structure cannot be enlarged without getting some kind of variance or similar to get into conformity. So yeah, I mean, even if, that's right, they wanted to use that same area because they do want to enlarge it, they would need a variance.
Either way.
Regardless.
okay.
And this, I'll just point out that this variance is for a specific project. This is for this building. So that does not mean that in 2 years or 5 years, the property owner could go behind it and build to 10 feet from the property line. That's not what this means. That means that this is a variance application for a very specific project for only 10 foot for this building, not the entire property line.
Okay, I'm just going to be real. I'm struggling with the fact that we put these things into effect and then we decide not to do them. So I'm going to put you on the spot. What's your recommendation?
So I've walked the property with the building official and also considered the closest location. Now, even if this gets approved, the neighboring property owner could put something very close to their property line. You know, your typical 10 or 20-foot separation is something that it's still not going to impact significantly like the cost of construction. But you've got topo, you've got the way that the property lays. It's significantly topography challenged, like most of the properties here in Dawson County. And between the driveway and going down to the house, it very much slopes down. So moving that building 15 feet would be significant. It would be a lot of grading. It would be, topography concern. And then that closest property line is still 300 feet or more from the nearest off-site house. So this new building will not be right beside or near the neighboring property owner's structures or house.
I understand that. I guess my concern is like you just said, the topography, which is common in Dawson County, is intense. So if we moved it from 10 to 25 feet, we're making a variance to move it from 25 to 10 feet, that seems like it's going to be a common variance. Why do we move it to begin with if we know what the topography is like here?
It's a good point. Understand that.
I'm not like
Sure.
at you. I'm just saying that's kind of my thought process is that I feel like I understand what you're saying and I understand the topography's challenging. It's not going to be within 300 feet. I totally get that. But I'm also kind of like, I don't understand why we continue to come up with stuff if we're not going to try to follow through with them. And if we know the topography is challenging in a lot of places in Dawson County, why did we move it from 25 to 10 feet or 10 to 25 feet? Do you know the reason for that? Why we made those
I don't know
changes?
all the reasoning from 2 years ago. Now, this property is unusual in that it's zoned agriculture, large lot, but it's not a 5 acre or greater piece of property. So the size is more like a single family residential zoning, like RRE or RS, something like that. And in those single family zoning districts, the setback for an accessory structure is 10 feet for the side. So the agriculture zoning for, typical standard 5 acre or more lots, the 25-foot is fine. It's totally acceptable. That, may be a factor for consideration just because it is an older piece of property that's 3 acres that, is something that it is smaller than the 5 acre standard.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions for Richard? Thank you. We may have some more later. All right, so is Ms. Yost here? Come on up and tell the board your appeal.
Thank you. My name is Karen Yost. My understanding is that in order for Gary to get a variance, he has to.
Ma'am, I'm going to need you to talk into that. Thank you.
Can you hear me? In order for Gary to get a variance, or Mr. Willis, he has to show criteria for needing that variance and conditions of the variance that he gets. So basically, the criteria can't be a self-created hardship. And I'm here to claim that it's 100% a self-created hardship. If you'll look at this, sorry, Gary's got 3.1 acres that he's trying to fit this 4,000 square foot building into. And this is my property line, no, this is my property line, which extends quite a ways in either direction. So there's some confusion here because if you take this little square right here and you put it in there, it fits exactly in there. So Gary is literally surrounded on 3 other sides of this property by his own property. So altogether, he's got 25 acres, so he's really not limited. The, if you look on public information, it's deemed the topography is rolling, hilly. It's no different than my property. And my house is actually built on a slope. This is the picture of the structure that he wants to put up. It's got a shop. He wants to put a motor home in here, and he wants to put his tractor over here. Well, my property line literally starts right there, 10 feet away, or 25 feet as proposed, but he wants to cover up his tractor here. So I don't have any information about how long the building is, but if we take that, it's going to be somewhere around 1,000 square feet extra that he's looking for to cover up his tractor. And yeah, I can understand that, but there's going to be a lot of issues when you start messing with variance and setback lines. And the ways that that can hurt me is there's, as far as I can tell, at this point, this is a completely unwritten variance. And that means that there's absolutely no written criteria for why the variance is passed. And it also means that there are no conditions legally written for compliance purposes. There's no clarity, no safeguards for me. You don't know the width. Well, I think the width is 60 feet. We don't know the height. We don't know the length. We don't know what materials are going to be used. We don't know when it's going to start, the construction's going to start or going to end. We don't know the amount of lawsuits that could be created over petty misunderstandings because he's 10 feet from, and he's rated residential ag. That's a 25-foot setback. And I'm not. I've got a 10-foot setback, but those are zoning criteria. It hasn't been stated or written anywhere what amount of my property line it will be affected by this variance. It's about 0.2 miles long, but there's nothing that safeguards that, nothing written. The most, the biggest concern that I have is that my property values could plummet because there would forever have this unwritten variance attached to it. So who wants to buy a piece of property that has a variance that you have to go to court or could be taken into court every time there's a disagreement? If a future concern that is that if at any point Mr. Willis wants to take his 3.1 acres and incorporate any of his other 23 acres, he would fall under the zoning laws of having 15 acres or more, in which he could hold wedding venues where possibly they would serve alcohol. Not that that's an issue unless they're going to walk over onto my property and get hurt. But it also sets up a case where he would have to be required to put 20 parking spaces in. It could be asphalted and it would be required to have lights. He could also have a store, which anyone who knows the Willises, that's not foreign to them. that he could sell things out of, quilts, antiques. So that's really close to my property line. And this vote passed 2-1. The one dissenting vote said he has other options. And so for, the sanctity of the zoning setbacks, I don't see the reason to violate that, because in all this property, he can't find another 1,000 square feet to cover up his tractor. I will add that until recently, it was not known exactly where the property line was, and what he had was four stilts with a top to it. So if you want to call it a building, I guess you can, but it's certainly not a replacement. And certainly the size of this building. Oh, I wanted to bring up the fact that zoning law 121-69 for residential ag, 2B states essentially that he can have as big of a building as he wants, and it's a good sized building, but it shall meet all setback requirements. So again, I just think it's a self-created hardship. He doesn't need to cover up that side. He doesn't need to encroach on the setback. Are there any questions?
Questions for Ms. Yost? From the board? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, so are Gary or Christina Willis here? Come on up. We'll give you an opportunity to explain your side.
Good evening. A timetable of events, just so you know, 2001 is when I built the equipment shed. We moved into the property right at the beginning of 1999. And basically, I built a tractor shed. Actually, I had a contractor build it. He lived in our neighborhood. He built it 10 feet off the property line intentionally because that was the setback at the time. So so then in 2001, we buy a motorhome and it's an antique, and I wanted to get it undercover. And so I'm like, I need a place. So I started doing plans. And then inflation and building materials went 10 to 50% through the roof at the beginning of 2022, if you recall that. And I pushed the project off until this time. In April of 2024, knowing that I was going to build, my target date was beginning construction 4/1 of this year. Last year, a year in advance, I rented a bulldozer and I graded the property. It goes from 0 grade to a 6-foot wall. That's the amount of material. I pushed the material in both directions, and I created some areas for parking and gravel, et cetera. I brought in 3 dump truck loads of hardwood mulch. I secured all of my banks. I put in a detention pond. I personally built a concrete drain basin to keep the property, because I wanted, number one, to first of all see what size property I can work with, and number two, keep my dog out of the mud, okay, and also keep any sediment from going into the pond. My pond is directly below this, and I do a lot to keep that there. Regarding topography, the water comes out of my dam, hits the creek bottom. It's the Etowah River bottoms. We are on a ridge overlooking the bottom. The property drops off in 3 directions. She owns 80% of the top of the ridge. I'm hanging off the side. I got one little sliver along the property line where it starts to level out. That is where it is. I put my driveway in the position it was 35 years ago. I didn't realize at the time. I can't move it. Once again, because it is a round driveway and it's on a slope, the house being down here, the barn up here, I can't move my driveway, okay? Well, all I'm asking is a setback variance for the right side shed to put a roof. If I don't get it, I'm gonna put gravel there, and I'm gonna have a boat, and I'm gonna have a tractor there, because that's where they are. Will they be out of the weather? No. And so anyway, once again, I believe it's a simple request. I would like to install another shed off the right sides to cover that equipment. There is not room in the rest of the building to hold my equipment. While I was sitting there, besides my tractor, I own a box blade, I own a scraper, I own a bush hog, I own a rock rake, I own a finishing mower, I own a harrow, I own a loader bucket, a spreader, a sprayer, front forks, and a cultivator. Anybody that knows anything about farming, I know about farming, okay? I own 25 acres. My lot is 3.1 acres, okay? That is what I pay taxes on the house. That's what I filled out on the form. I own almost 22 other acres around there. Between the driveway, between the wetlands, between the pond, between the topo, between 10,000 hardwood oak trees this big around, there's not a place to put it. There are two really good building sites on the property. Both are 700 feet away. My daughters already have their name on them, okay? And they plan on building within the next 2 years. Both of those sites that are buildable, that I could build a barn on, have no power, have no water, have no sewer. I have had all three utilities approved by the county in use at this site since 2001. So once again, that's it. If you don't have any questions, I'll have a seat.
Questions for Mr. Willis?
So from my understanding, the variance is not for the main structure, it's for a lean-to. And the lean-to off the side, is it fully enclosed?
So yes, I would like to fully enclose it. The effect on our land, so anyone trying to figure out if something is going to affect the value of their land, okay, there's a lot of things that go into that. From her perspective, okay, from her driving in, from her driving in, her driveway is 150 feet away from the barn. The only time she can see it, she's 150 feet away. Looking in that direction, she's going to be looking at the east wall where this setback is. The barn is the same size. Her field of view, everything she sees will be the exact same thing. The question is there a side shed that is smaller and shorter on that side of the building?
Other questions?
So point of clarity here, you talk about the two other sites. Is it on the 22 additional acres or is that on the 3 acres where your two daughters are planning on building there?
On the 22 acres.
On the
Yeah,
22 acres.
Right.
So is there anything preventing you from rezoning the property? And this may be a question for Richard. Is there anything that would prevent him from rezoning this property to get to that 10-foot setback limit?
So, yeah, I need to look it up in terms of the character area, if it is, because this property backs up to the 10,000 acres WMA. In that area, it may be the rural designation, which is very limiting about what zoning districts you can
I
apply
think Ms.
for, what
Yost
land
mentioned
use.
that her setback was 10 foot. So I'm
Right.
assuming that she's residential and not RA.
She is residential, and there are some properties like that were zoned before the character area adopted 2023. So I'm not sure that, they might not be eligible to apply to rezone to RRE or RSR. I could look into it if you'd like me to, but essentially their options are pretty limiting, and rezoning a property just for this purpose, may not be the best use of resources and time for this particular building for an accessory structure.
Clarification purposes, Mr. Willis can park tractors and all of his equipment in this space regardless and not need a variance, correct?
He can, for sure.
Second question is, nothing stops the main building that the other lady was speaking to, nothing stops that from being constructed. He doesn't need a variance for that, correct?
That's right. So essentially, at the property line, it's higher, and then it starts sloping down. And so essentially, he's going to need to have a wall there, no matter what, close to the property. And then it's just a matter of the tallest central part of this building, between the property line and that, is it going to be just the wall and some gravel to park some equipment, or is that area going to have an enclosed portion So the building essentially is, in threes, the central tallest, and then a shorter area on either side. That's the question.
The lady stated that she was concerned that this creates a variance along the whole property line. Your opening statement said it's just project specific to the linear footage of this particular building. Is that accurate?
So this was a variance application for a proposed accessory structure. This is not a variance to reduce the required side setback for now and for eternity for any and all structures. This is just for this structure. That's correct.
And is this structure defined on the linear footage of the structure itself? Is there anywhere that we can nail down that he can expand it beyond that based on this variance? I mean, because it's project specific. Do we have a copy of the project, and do we know the dimensions of the project currently that's already recorded?
We've got it as, and he's got the exact, I put approximately 3,500 square feet, but he put the exact square footage on there. And if I remember right, it's 60 foot wide, but it probably also has the length of it as well. But that would be confirmed in the building permit. And yes, that would be something that we could tag it, reference that variance so that it is only max 3,600, 3,500 square feet, only 60 feet by whatever it ends up being, Yes, sir.
And if I could interject, Commissioner Gaines, you could also condition if you determine to approve the variance or affirm the decision of the planning commission, you could add conditions that make those things clear if you're concerned about it.
And I think the general idea of what we changed a couple of years ago in a normal agriculture zoning where you're sitting on 50 acres, then we tried to reduce those or expand those throughout. But the reason why we have variances is for case by case basis, and that's the path to take. So
I have a quick question for the applicant. Last year, when you started the grading process, I know that you had kind of had this plan, but put it off. When you started grading and kind of getting this started a year in advance, did you check to see if the setbacks had been changed? Like, were you aware a year ago that it changed?
No, not until, let me finish my time. On January 23, I had a concrete guy come in. I showed him where it was. He saw the tapes because I also paid for the survey. And he says, "What are you zoned?" And I said, "Agriculture, because you got a 25-foot setback." And my jaw dropped. Huh? We're supposed to start in a month or two. So the next day, I met with Priscilla Coley in that office and said, "Hey, what's going on? What do I have to do?" And I went through that. That same day, I contacted my neighbor and I met with her at the site along with my daughter. And I said, "Here's the situation. Here's what's going on. I really want to put the side shed on or whatever." And at the time, we had a really good conversation. And so anyway, I've done what I think I needed to do all along. I've never been in violation of any building laws. What I think I've done is great, because this year when we build the barn, we're going to have a clean site. We're going to have gravel down. We're not going to have any mud. And so anyway, that's where we are.
And I just want you to know my dispute is not with what you've done. I think you've done everything correct. I have a hard time with variances because, again, we create these things so that we can be consistent. And when there's variances, it allows us not to be consistent. And that is the problem that I'm struggling with. So it's not personal.
Mhm.
I would say, from my time on the board, I'm not sure if we've ever turned down a variance from a consistency perspective for.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm just saying, I don't know if we've
Well,
not taken it on a case by case, and you look at each individual situation. So that's what they're for. That's the process.
well, and I will say this, and this is not whether either one of you, but the variance is part of the process. I mean, that's part of our zoning process. So you have a right to ask for a variance, and the planning commission makes that decision in reference to variances. And then if someone appeals like today, then it comes to us. And that's just part of the overall process. And so that's where we stand. And what the decision that'll be made based on that. Does anyone else have any other questions for Mr. Willis? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor of the appeal? Anyone here wants to speak in favor of the appeal? Anyone here want to speak in opposition to the appeal? All right, we'll close that. Oh, come on, please sign in, give us your name and your address, and you will have 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
That's all I need. That long to do my address. I'm a realtor and friend of Karen Yost, and he did do the grading before Priscilla went out there. And so we don't know what that side of the property looked like before that, because he said the other dropped off. And also it now requires a retaining wall. And so that's going to be in there also besides the shed. And I don't know who he is, but he said something about the dimensions of the 3,500-foot building or whatever for the variance could be specific. And again, I want to reiterate that it's just for the shed size, not for the whole building size when doing a specific consideration for the variance. That should be the size of the shed, and that's not known to anybody that I'm aware of. And that's all I had to say.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Anyone else? Come on up. Please sign in, give us your name and your address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Christina Willis, and I just wanted to speak to that with the retaining wall. When we found out that we needed to try to get the variance, we did come and we spoke to everyone here, Priscilla, Richard, finding out like, okay, so what exactly we have to do? We can get the retaining wall we've already put in to get the permit for that. We knew that much, but we did make sure that we could start grading that property, and we're told that you can grade as long as it's under an acre, as long as it's not within the watershed. And there was one more thing Priscilla told us, I don't remember, but yeah. So when we started grading and we did that, we've been above board the whole time. Gary called Karen, had her come over, walked the property above board the whole time. And also, I know we can't all look into the future and know for sure. I wanted to rest assured some of those fears that we know. And I love the idea of like, yes, let's put in that it's just for this building. If you need to know the exact measurements, my husband has them. I thought he put them in the information he gave y'all, but if not, we can give it to you. And that we know this variance is just for this one building, never to be enlarged. We do not want to have weddings. That would be the worst thing ever. So just want to rest assured that it's just for this one building. So did y'all have any questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else? All right, I'll close that here. All right, so what's the pleasure of the board? The board has opportunity to uphold the planning commission's approval of the variance or to deny or change, basically deny the planning commission's approval of the variance.
Make a motion that we affirm the planning commission's decision as well as the feedback from the staff based on the project spelled out with the attached building plans that will go into the file.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gaines, seconded by Commissioner Stowers to uphold the planning commission's variance. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. Can we start that over?
Based on
See if you can do it over.
The motion is to affirm and approve what the original planning,
Well,
The motion is to
planning commission
the
approve.
planning commission approved it. We're
His motion-
agreeing that the planning commission made the decision to approve it. Is what,
to agree with them or denying that you don't.
if you don't agree with the the planning commission's decision, then you would be a nay. If you agree with the planning decision, then it would be a yay.
All right. And it is approved 3-1. Okay. Move on to ZA 2502 GVR Group, Dawsonville, Georgia, 400 Retail LLC has submitted a request to the proper authorities requesting a land use amendment to zone 4.2 acres of property currently zoned RA, residential agriculture, residential exurban, to CHB Commercial Highway Business. This property is located between Stacy Lane, Lee Castleberry Road, and Georgia Highway 400 South, parcels 107-271 and part of 107082. Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is about 4.2 acres. It's got Highway 400 frontage near the Forsyth County line. Got road frontage on Lee Castleberry Road and Stacy Lane. Proposals to rezone from RA Agriculture to CHB Highway Business. It is in the Georgia 400 Overlay District. So for this proposed commercial complex, both the Highway Business and the Overlay District standards would apply. Proposal would include a 30,000 square foot, 2-story building, first floor retail, second floor office, and then near 400, there would be 2 restaurants, 1 dine-in and 1 fast food drive-through type. The proposal is in the Georgia 400 mixed-use character area, and the proposal is consistent with the comprehensive plan. Planning Commission recommended approval. I will note, however, that Public Works provided comments based on access concerns. Their specific comments that would be put forward by staff as requested zoning conditions. Number 1, provide a vertical site distance analysis for the access on Lee Castleberry Road. And number 2, provide a deceleration lane on Lee Castleberry Road, requirement of a performance bond for the new lane.
So the decel lane would be going west, right? You turn off 400 and it'd be a right and then a right-hand turn, but the sight distance would really be going east, correct? The sight distance concern because Lee Castleberry kind of has got a little bit of hill there.
Yes, sir.
Correct. Okay. So not the recommendation was not a center turning lane for the sight distance, it was the decel lane.
Just a decel lane, which would be likely required anyway, but just in case, if there's a little bit of gray area on review of the civil plans before getting a land disturbance permit, Public Works really is recommending, if possible, these 2 zoning conditions.
Final question before you go. One of the site plans that I'm reviewing to the north, it shows a right turn in and a right turn out on 400. Is that open or is that part of the other parcel that's beside it? Does that make sense? You don't have, there's a, if you're coming south on 400, before this property on the northeast corner, there's a turn-in lane and there's a right turn only out on 400. Is that accessible or is that part of the building that's above that? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good question.
It's like it's on this other property, on this own side.
It's gated.
Yeah.
If you want to step over, I can show you specifically. Detail lane off of 400 where it's a right-hand turn in. I don't know if that's open. It seems like that's gated to the projects that's to the north of it.
That's right. This would not be applicable. This development, folks would have to come off 400 onto Lee Castleberry Road and turn right to get in.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions for Richard? Thank you. Is the applicant present? Come on up and tell us what you'd like to do.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Christopher Light. I'm with the law firm Lipscomb Johnson and Cumming. I'm here on behalf of GVR Group. VJ is here with me if we to help answer any questions you might have. Planning director gave you as good a presentation as I can about what the proposal is. Mixture of office, commercial retail, restaurant, and potentially an assembly hall, private event space too, which is a very popular space. I've worked with GVR in the past, all on commercial projects. They are commercial developers, and so they have good contacts. No, they haven't started marketing the property yet, so there's no current tenants to speak of yet, but they do plan to move quickly. All in all, it's just a continuing of the development trend along Georgia 400, moving south, doing the great job that Dawson County has done in that corridor. So we think this will add to it. And to the question about the north driveway, looking at the aerial views, it does not seem that there actually is a road like right there. It looks like the property to the north has a driveway. I'm not sure why that was included on the site plan, but access would be from Stacy Lane. So with that, I'll step away and answer any questions. Thank you.
Question for the applicant?
You said access is on Stacy Lane, but I don't see an access on Stacy Lane. I just see access on Lee.
Oh, I
Castleberry.
apologize. Lee Castleberry. I got them mixed up.
Okay.
Lee Castleberry. Yes, sir. No access on
There
Stacy.
is no access on Stacy Lane.
No, and I think that was strategic, Commissioner. There is a residential neighborhood there to the west. So it's probably better to keep that from merging traffic there.
Other questions for the applicant? Thank you.
Thank you.
May have some more later. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
The planning director did send me those two added conditions earlier today, and he did want me to make a public statement. We are okay and consent to those. Sorry about that.
Okay. All right. All right, so at this time, I'll open the hearing. Anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Hearing none, I'll close that hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Question for the applicant, would you be willing to connect to Stacy Lane? The reason why I say that is we highly have encouraged in the past other businesses up and down 400 corridor to have interparcel connectivity. And though you might not want to connect to the parcel to the north of you, you may want to connect to Stacy Lane in order to have another entrance into that to mitigate more traffic on Lee Castleberry. Looks like to the northwest there, you got, you could have an intersection potentially there and not lose too many parking places.
Yeah, I mean, without the engineer being here, I can't think of any engineering concerns with that, but commercial development tends to prefer as many access points as possible, so I don't see that as an issue.
Other questions? Okay, thank you. So what's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion, we approve the ZA, where we at? ZA 2502 with a secondary access entrance exit on Stacy Lane.
Do we need to include
With
the
all,
Public Works stuff?
the other two,
They're part of the,
they've agreed to that.
they're part of it now, aren't they?
I mean, I just didn't know if we needed to. Angie, do we need to include that?
Excuse me, include what? That,
The the
Conditions.
stipulations that
yes,
they, that
absolutely.
they've agreed to? Yeah.
So I'll withdraw my prior motion. I'll make a new motion that I make a motion that we approve ZA 25-02 with the conditions that were read into the record by Richard, our staff, as well as add a second entrance exit onto Stacy Lane.
Second.
Thank you.
Motion by Commissioner Gaines, seconded by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote.
You need to say something.
Would like to ask a question about the added condition. What if your Public Works or GDOT or whoever decides it's not practical or feasible? Would we have to get a zoning to get us an amendment to remove that required access on Stacy if they say doesn't meet site distance or for whatever engineering reason?
Well, that's a great point. And so since it hasn't been reviewed either by Public Works staff or by your engineers, I think it's going to be a county decision or a state decision, but perhaps you could amend the motion to include that that's an additional condition subject to feasibility as determined by the county engineers and the State Department of Transportation.
Hang on, third time's a charm.
Sorry, I tried to jump.
You attorneys always mess things up. I had it down and, all right, so let's try this again. Do we need to, we already had a motion and a second, so do we need? we
You
didn't-
can just do an amendment.
So I want to make an amendment to my original, not my original, my second motion, that the stipulation for having a secondary entrance exit on Stacy Lane will be subject to county and state engineering approval.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second for amendment
All the
for
attorneys good with that?
in reference to the, making sure the county and the state are in line with the added entrance. So we'll take up the amendment first. So all in, if you're in favor of the amendment, you would vote yes. If you're not, then you would vote no. So we'll take up the amendment first. So please vote. Uh-huh. Refresh.
Thanks, Seth. I was looking for this one. Did it go through? Yes, ma'am. Okay.
That's approved 4-0. Yes. So now we'll take up the original vote. Let that be known by show of hands if you're in favor. And that's 4-0. All right, so it passes with the amendment. That passes. All right. So now we'll move on to ZA 2410. Larry Long, on behalf of Coulter Homes, has submitted a request to the proper authorities requesting a land use amendment to zone 510.14 acres of property zoned RA residential agriculture and RSR residential subrural to RT residential town at 1.74 dwelling units per net acre with the following variances. Number one, reduce minimum lot width from 75 feet to 51 feet, reduce the minimum front setback from 20 feet to 10 feet, or to a minimum 20 feet measured from back of sidewalk to face of garage. Number three, reduce the minimum side setback from 10 feet to 3 feet, eve to eve, reduce the minimum rear setback from 20 feet to 10 feet. Number five, reduce the minimum driveway length from 22 feet to 14 with a minimum 20-foot driveway length from back of sidewalk to face of garage. And six, reduce minimum corner lot width from 90 feet to 51 feet while adding 15 feet of open space along all side streets. Code of Dawson County, Table 12959A and Section 12776, Table 3.3. This property is located approximately 800 feet east of the northeast corner of Georgia Highway 53 and Perimeter Road and approximately 1 mile east of the southeast corner of Perimeter Road and Frank Bruce Road, Dawsonville, parcel number ID 93-004-001. Richard.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'll just clarify that this does include two parcels, 093-004-001 and 103-002-002 for a total of approximately 510 acres. And this proposal for all single-family detached homes, the rezoning from RA agriculture and RSR, which is suburban residential, to RT residential town. RT district allows up to 3 dwelling units per net acre. The proposal is 1.74 dwelling units per net acre for 785 senior age-restricted single-family detached homes plus amenities. Approximately 204 acres would be open space, of which 153 acres would be undisturbed. That's a total of approximately 40% of the land as open space. The lot sizes would vary from approximately 6,600 square feet to over 10,000 square feet. The actual homes would be from 1,500 square feet heated area at a minimum to over 2,000 square feet of heated living space. Based on the type of senior age restricted community proposal, as well as environmental factors, topography, steep slopes, floodplain, creeks, wetlands. The applicant has requested multiple variances. The development name would be Crestwind at Dawson Springs. Proposed zoning conditions are based on the results of the traffic impact study, environmental impact study, input from Public Works, Etowah Water and Sewer, Emergency Services, County Board of Education, the state through the Gainesville office, Georgia Mountains Regional Commission, Planning Zoning staff, input from citizens, and recommendations from the Planning Commission. If you'll give me a couple of minutes, this is going to be over 20 proposed zoning conditions, but I do want to get them on the record. And again, I'll note that this proposal is consistent with the comprehensive plan. This is in the Dawson character area. The proposed zoning conditions, number 1, development shall not exceed 785 senior age-restricted residential homes. Age restriction requirements shall be made part of the HOA or POA covenants and enforced by the HOA, POA, or their representative. Number 2, no more than a max of 160 certificates of occupancy will be issued or approved by Dawson County in any calendar year of the development. Number 3, minimum square foot heated area of each residence, 1,500 square feet. Number 4, fire protection impact fee shall be at the approved rate listed in the fee schedule at the time of permitting. Number 5, developer shall contribute funds related to Dawson County Emergency Services, vehicle, and equipment needs as identified in the adopted Georgia DCA Capital Improvement Element Amendment Plan document in the amount of $320,000 no later than July 1st, 2029. Number 6, owner developer shall provide a 24-foot wide or as approved by Dawson County Emergency Services, emergency access easement from development's road system in the location shown on the master plan. Such access shall be limited by a locked gate requiring a key and/or code to open. Number 7 is buffers, and so there's a lot just about buffers. Exterior buffer, minimum 30-foot wide vegetation buffer shall be maintained where natural vegetation exists. Where sparse or no natural vegetation exists, a landscape strip with evergreen trees 8 feet in height at time of planting shall be installed and maintained around the entire perimeter of the original parcel along any public roadway. Buffer shall be delineated on the final plat and shall not be part of the individual lots. A 50-foot wide buffer shall be required along property lines abutting the following parcels: 092-070, 092-069, 093-003, 093-030, 093-062, and 094-017. Roadway buffer. A minimum 50-foot wide buffer shall be maintained where natural vegetation exists. Where no natural vegetation exists, 2 landscape strips of evergreen trees 8 feet in height at time of planting shall be installed and maintained along the development perimeter along Highway 53 and Frank Bruce Road. The buffer and landscape strips shall be delineated on the final plat and shall not be part of the individual lots. Additional buffering, including berms, fencing, and/or additional vegetation, may be required within designated buffer areas touching or adjoining single-family residences. Disturbance or encroachment by ditches, swales, stormwater conveyance systems, stormwater detention ponds, sanitary sewer conveyance systems, and any associated easements shall not encroach into a buffer except as necessary for access and utility crossing. Required stormwater or sanitary sewer pipe encroachments must encroach into the buffer as close to perpendicular as possible. Grading for stormwater detention ponds shall not encroach into a buffer. Number 8, no mass grading of the site that is not a phase actively being developed under an approved land disturbance permit shall occur. Number 9, any improvements to the water or sewer systems required to meet fire flow or other requirements shall be made as agreed between Etowah Water and Sewer and the developer. Number 10, before approving any final plat, the county will issue a maximum of 12 model home permits. Number 11, Building separation is measured from the overhang of the structure to the property line. Number 12, all structures must meet fire resistance ratings as specified in section 22-22 of the Dawson County Ordinance regarding fire resistance ratings for structures near lot lines. 13, roads designed as depicted in the concept plan delineated as Road G, where over 60 typical home sites are loaded, shall include a passive park of minimum 8,000 square feet in size. Passive park shall have a combination of at least two of the following: benches, gazebo, fire ring, pergola, or similar features intended for outdoor recreation. Number 14, proposed development will require a stormwater pre-design, pre-submittal consultation with applicable county staff. 15 is transportation improvements, and there are a few of them. Southbound deceleration lane on Frank Bruce Road into the entrance. 2 dedicated lanes in driveway number 1 exit to Highway 53. Left and right turn lanes from Highway 53 into entrance number 1. If 45% or greater of the site plan, which is number of lots and/or types of uses, changes, an additional traffic study would be required. Number 16, sidewalks and street lighting shall be installed along the entire frontage of Highway 53 as approved by DOT. Number 17, right-of-way or other land dedication to Dawson County. Acceptance by the county shall be contingent on the developer submitting a meets and bounds description of the required right-of-way and transferring title to such land by deed to the county before issuance of building permits. Number 18, performance bond will be required for all work within Frank Bruce Road right-of-way prior to issuance of applicable land disturbance permit. Number 19, the applicant must coordinate with DOT, which will permit all work on Highway 53 at driveway number 1. Number 20, on-street parking shall be prohibited within all portions of the development. Requirements shall be made part of the HOA or POA covenants and enforced by the HOA or POA or their representative. Number 21, developer shall contribute $265,000 to road improvements related to the impact of the development, including Frank Bruce Road. The contribution shall be provided when the construction entrance located on Frank Bruce Road is established. In addition, the developer shall pay a surcharge of $300 per building permit for road improvements. 22, Crestwind at Dawson Springs is seeking relief from runoff reduction requirements due to the steep terrain, severity of rock, lack of natural infiltration, accepting natural soils, and the desire to disturb as little area as possible on the site to preserve natural open spaces, minimum 30% undisturbed. This project shall be exempt from runoff reduction, low impact development type standards, but will comply with all standard water quality, channel protection, and detention design requirements set forth by Dawson County. In lieu of runoff reduction, low impact development type best management practices, this development will provide 1.2 inches of water quality, full channel protection, and full detention requirements on site. Additionally, where feasible and at the determination of the developer and engineer, this development will implement low impact development best management practices. Number 23, Crestwind at Dawson Springs shall have the option to install palisades walls with rock or vegetative facing, modular block walls, or poured in place concrete walls with screening as determined by the developer. Walls shall be allowed in exterior buffers. Walls to be designed by a PE and permitted by Dawson County. Wall stabilization grids may extend into easements, access drainage, or other as necessary. LDP preliminary plat approval is not contingent upon retaining wall design or approval.
Questions for Richard? You did state, and just to reiterate, that it does meet the land use plan, future land use plan, and the comp plan.
Yes, sir. This property is in the Dawson character area. This requested rezoning to RT is a listed allowable land use designation. The proposal is consistent with the comprehensive plan.
Other questions for Richard? Thank you. May have some more later. Is the applicant present? Tell us what you'd like to do.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I appreciate y'all giving me the opportunity to talk tonight. I'm going to try to be as brief as I can. My name is Larry Long. I'm Vice President of Acquisitions for Coulter. I have with me to answer the tough questions is Dustin Baker, who's over development for Coulter. And we do have our engineer present just in case. His name is Bradley Dunkel with Rochester and Associates. I think I didn't do a too good job last time on this, so y'all bear with me. This is some information we just wanted to provide you and the audience of what we do. And by the way, I do want to thank all the people who were for and against this project. We met a lot of people, had a big community meeting at the continuing ed building, had about 100 people there. We've met several people along Frank Bruce several times. We've met with surrounding landowners, people who are contiguous to our property, trying to work out some encroachment problems they have, what have you. But they've been very professional, even though some people just don't want the project. I understand, but they've all treated me with utmost courtesy. Just want to say that. And also, your staff is tough, but they're fair and they're very good at communicating with us. Gave us good direction, and I appreciate that as well. So who is Coulter? We basically develop what I would call Class A active adult resort communities. And I emphasize resort because we are about the quality of living on our community. Just to give you an example, we'll spend about $12 million just on the recreation component of this development with the clubhouse and all those features. So we'll get into that a little bit. But yes, we sell houses, but we also provide a lifestyle. And that's why people buy into the Crestwind. Okay, just want to make sure y'all understood that. This is our development story where we're currently developing now in the southeast. This tells you a little bit about why we sell houses to the active adult market. It's one of the fastest growing segments of our population and has the most wealth as far as all segments of the population. This talks about our lifestyle. We're about nutrition, exercise. We do community events, concerts, things of that nature, yoga classes, cooking classes, you name it. We have about 150, 40 organizations, clubs in the community. This is about bringing people together who want to live in this lifestyle. This profile gives you an idea of what the typical buyer is about. I want to stress to you that the disposable income that this buyer has, he or she are going to invest that in the local community. You're going to see a $5.3 million typically of goods and services spent by this size community in Dawson County. Our property taxes will be 4.1 million is what we estimate. You may or may not like this. You're going to have a lot of volunteers. You'll have about 400 typically volunteers who will, they'll basically come to the football games and do the concession stands and do the things that y'all had here tonight. They're very involved because they have the time to do it. They want to be part of the community. This is some examples of things we do in the community and the stuff we're going to do outside the community. Our developments have won many awards for the type of design of our houses, for our community features, the lifestyle. We've won a lot of national and regional awards for what we're doing. And then I just wanted to give you quickly some interior shots and pictures of kind of things. I think most of you came out and looked at the Twin Lakes deal to make sure you understood what we do. We appreciate you taking the time to do that. Just wanted to show you some pictures of what we do in other places in the country. We do swimming. We won't do an indoor swimming pool at this community because we realize that people down south just don't use the natatorium as we thought they would. So we're not going to do that feature, and we'll have other amenities in replace of that. Like I said, we're big into exercise. We have an e-gym equipment that we use that basically measures body mass and things of that nature. But we have free weights, we have exercise machines, we do all those kind of things for nutrition and physical fitness, yoga classes. I'll try to be real brief here. We also have card clubs and pool clubs and things of that nature. We do dances and concerts indoors. Sometimes we'll do them outdoors, weather permitting, for different types of events. We are big into pottery and artwork and things of that nature. We'll have instructors come in and teach the folks how to do certain types of arts and crafts. This next slide shows you what we are proposing at Dawson Springs, the 18,000 square foot clubhouse with the fitness machines, 12 pickleball courts. Pickleball is a big deal, ballroom, resort style pool. We're even going to do some bocce ball, which I didn't know what that was until about 4 months ago. We'll have a central mill kiosk. We'll also have 12 acres of, we had 7 acres of, we talked about as hardscape amenity area. We'll have 12 total with everything involved, not counting all the open space. Next slide shows you our typical entryway, kind of like it would look at Dawson. This will be a gated community. All the roads will be private. We'll maintain those, so the county will not be on the hook to maintain any roads. But just want to give you an idea, if you get on 53, what it would look like. This is one of our newer entryways down in Noonan. But this gives you an idea of the landscaping quality that we will do at 53. This gives you an example of what we're proposing with the guardhouse and the way the road will be designed. Next slide is the proposed amenity. It shows you an aerial shot with the pool, with the pickleball courts, bocce ball. This will be located, we'll do our first phase of development. We'll come over Palmer Creek, and then in our second phase, we'll do the amenity. We do our amenities up front. Usually a lot of developers will actually do the amenity during the middle of the project. But when you get my age and people like us, we don't believe things anymore. We want to see that clubhouse early in the project because the people want to buy into that right out of the chute. So we'll have that under development within the second phase. Just some more slides showing what the proposed amenity will look like with the racquetball. I know racquetball is becoming a big thing in Dawson County. I know a lot of courts I've seen being proposed. We have 3 product lines. We have 4 typically. We're not doing our small house in Dawson County. We're doing our 3 larger, would be the 51, the 61 and 71 foot lot. This just gives you an idea of what that typical house plan will look like with square footage, 1,700 to 22. Just want to give you some examples of elevations for all product lines. I won't get into detail there, but you can see what we do. And then we go to the 71 foot. So we are asking for 1,500 minimum because when you get a project that's going to last 10 years, sometimes things change in the market about what people want. But right now we're doing 1,700 to about 3,100, but 15 is just kind of a catch-all just in case we have some buyers that want that kind of square footage. And the next slide, if I can go to that. Let me see. Did I get ahead of myself? Hold on just a second. Let me go back just a minute. This gives you the actual square footage of each lot size and the square footage we're proposing along with the price ranges of $550,000 to $700,000. Just some interior shots that y'all can look at what we do as far as, and y'all see the quality of the houses. This will be our new product that we have just designed. We've introduced it in Noonan. So if you want to see what that looks like, it's really comparable to what you saw at Twin Lakes. Just a little bit better quality, a little bit higher ceiling height. We try to improve the house plans every time we start a new generation of homes. But I won't bore you with all these photos, but you can see the quality of what we do. So this is the site plan that we are proposing at 53 behind the high school. We're calling for 785 lots. Why 785? That is the magic number to do the amenities that we do in the clubhouse. We have to have a certain number of homes based on providing those amenities. We try to keep the cost down per lot on the paying for those amenities in the clubhouse. We charge typically about $290 a month for each resident. That's probably going to go up because costs have gone up. We'll probably get up to $300, but we cut the grass. We do all the landscaping. That includes not only landscaping in the frontage, but landscaping to each individual home. That's why the lot sizes are where they are. So we don't want anybody to do their own lawn yard work. We want everything to be consistently the way we want it. That's why we don't allow that. This also covers all the amenity areas, the clubhouse, the paying for all the, the managing of that. We have a full-time manager on site that manages all those activities. So right now, we're proposing 785 lots, 200 and plus acres of open space. We are under their allowed density net, and I don't know if people understand net and gross. Gross, we're about 1.5, net, we're 1.7. The current land use plan calls for 3 units for net. And then I go into the amenity area. So currently, we are zoned ag. Uh-oh. I'm apologizing. Thank you. We're zoned ag, but we are in the Dawson character area. I asked the county staff to actually do a analysis of your current land use and the amount of acreage you have per uses. I wanted to illustrate this because one thing, if you look at agriculture rural and Russell Creek, as far as development, your 82% of your land base is designated rural or close to that, 82%. When you actually changed the land use plan in 2023, if y'all recall, you had the Dawson County character areas. The reason y'all did that is to actually have medium density development around Dawsonville. That was based on my review of your minutes and your comments during that time period. That's what you were trying to achieve. All right. So when you look at the Dawson character area, I want you to notice something. You see those dark blue lines where the purple is that are just to the left? That's the Dawson character as well, but those probably will never be developed because there's no way you can assemble that many lots because that represents lot lines. So really, you've got about 2 or 3 tracks around Dawsonville that meet the criteria of the Dawson character area and then can actually be developed for that purpose. Does that make sense? So why did we pick this site? A couple of reasons. Well, 3 reasons actually. Dawson County, we get a lot of people, a lot of active retirees that have actually asked us about Dawson County. I get a lot of people, I always try to talk to folks who buy houses. Why did you buy here? And you would not believe how many people say, well, I chose this because you didn't have anything in Dawson County. Well, okay, maybe I should start looking in Dawson County. So we have a lot of people who are in that age cohort that want to live in this area based on proximity to Atlanta and the mountains and all the other things that y'all provide. The other reason is because we like to be near downtowns or small towns. We kind of like that. We help vitalize those towns, but also we like to be close by to, have activities, restaurants, things of that nature that they don't have to drive a long way. And the third thing is we picked this site because you designated on the comp plan for the type of use we're proposing, just to be perfectly honest. We looked at those 3 things and all those things lined up as why we're doing this project. And I think Richard mentioned the fact, I'm sorry, I'm not used to talking in front of Mike. Richard pointed out the fact that we're RT, and if you look at all the different variances we asked for, the RT is set up very similar to a PUD, which I know y'all are familiar with, where a PUD allows you flexible design as far as lot sizes, roads and things of that nature. This is why we're doing this, to keep the amount of homes and the clustering and more open space is the reason we have these variances. So next we talk about the zoning proposal. We're going to restrict for covenants based on fair housing to 55 and older. We'll have 1.7 units, no more than that per acre. The 7 acres area for recreational amenities, 200 acres open space and above. I've already mentioned the size of the houses, and this development is in compliance with the comp plan. But I want to draw your attention real quick to some of the terms in the RT and in your comp plan: grouping and clustering of lots and buildings, maintain same residential density, but offer smaller lots with the remaining land dedicated and reserved for open space, agriculture, wilderness, and passive recreation. Just wanted to point that out. this is the analysis. You'll see what we're doing as far as, we think it will be around probably 230 acres of open space. If you see the red areas, that's areas that we'll grade into, then we'll replant. We have to grade to build the roads and the stormwater and things of that nature. We'll replant those areas in the red to trees and other types of landscaping. One other thing I want to point out, we typically don't do back-to-back lots. And you see on here, we have most of our lots are with trees behind them. In any situation where we have lots that back up to each other, we don't touch those lots. Like a lot of developments, the lots were actually touched, and you'll see your neighbor. We don't do that. We actually allow a buffer area, 20 feet or so or more, with trees and landscaping, because our owners don't want to see the people behind them, if that makes any sense. So the next thing, we did work with the people that live around us, and staff asked us to increase the buffers in some of these areas where houses were really close to the property line. So we did that. We met with all the different owners of these homes, talked to them about what we wanted to do. We also moved the entrance. This plan got changed a little bit from when we originally submitted to now. We actually moved the back of Frank Bruce entrance a little bit further north to stay out of some driveways of the people across the street. And that means we had to redesign a little bit in that area, but we're still at the same number of lots. The other thing that we do is we actually do a lot of environmental research on these projects. We did a wetland study for the entire property. We did a habitat study to figure out what was there. We try to do our best to avoid any kind of impacts. The number one thing that we do that's very unusual, we build bridges more than we do culverts. Because when you put a culvert in the creek, you got to go to the Corps of Engineers and go through this whole process and then buy mitigation credits. We didn't do that. We're going to build bridges. And the bridge that we're using to cross Palmer is a big bridge, very expensive, but we knew we had to stay out of that creek. We don't want to impact the wildlife. We need to establish those wildlife corridors. But we also want to make sure that we don't infringe on the Cherokee darter. And also there's a bat that we identified that we may have habitat. We didn't see any bats during the environmental review, but we have restricted ourselves from development for certain types of development for certain types of months, not to be permitted to do it, clearing to make sure that we don't disturb bat mating season, if that makes any sense. Traffic is a big issue, I know, in the county. So, and people don't believe this, but it's true. Our traffic is totally different than a typical subdivision. Our peak hour traffic is not like typical traffic with kids or neighborhood. We don't leave at the same peak hours. Most of our residents are retired or semi-retired, so they're not going in the same traffic patterns. And this is tried and true. We've even had counties actually put the little things out in front of our entryways to see if it's actually true, and it actually works. Now, I'll tell you this, if you look at the peak hours, I asked our traffic engineer to look at this. We're at peak hours the same as a 209 lot subdivision with kids, all right? So that's our impact that our typical subdivision would be, or 290, so not really 785, if that makes sense. We did do a traffic study. We studied a lot of different intersections. And the traffic consultant that we use also does a lot of DOT work. So all these traffic study people, y'all are very familiar with them. They come up here all the time. They're qualified. They use everybody uses the same data from a Chick-fil-A versus a single family typical development to an active adult. We found no impacts based on our peak hours to any of these intersections, but we have agreed to be good neighbors and to invest in traffic improvements that y'all see fit to do in the future. We're going to give you almost $500,000 to use as you want to fix any type of traffic problem that you see in the future, regardless of we impact it or not, basically how this works. The next slide I wanted to show you, this project at build out will be $500 million worth of real estate. County permit fees, $788,000 we're estimating. I give you a number about water and tap fees. Etowah went up on their fees after we submitted our application, and that's just the way it is. Y'all actually increased your impact fees. We're now standing at, I think $5.1 million. I'll get into in a minute about fees we're going to give you guys, not counting the new road stuff. So it's probably going to be about $5.3 million we're going to give the county. But you can see the actual annual revenue and the actual economic benefit. The next slide, the only thing I'll say there is we need to amend it now. I think it's about $230,000 in addition to the 5.12 million that you see there that we're going to contribute. And that is for additional road improvements. The next thing is real briefly, we're going to have water and sewer. We're bringing sewer over from Highway 9, so we'll be improving the county sewer system, bring it over to Highway 9. We are also required to upgrade the water system. I believe you have a pressure problem in that side of the county. And Etowah has asked us to upsize these lines to allow not only for our development but improve the water system in the surrounding area. Okay, so we're going to be doing that. We'll have a water line come through our project. We'll go up Frank Bruce and down Highway 9 to improve the water system. So on the recap, we're asking to do a very high quality active adult community. We're going to ask for 785 lots. Our density is lower than you allow in the land use plan. This project is consistent with the recently adopted plan that you did in 2023. We're going to have over 200 acres of open space. We're not going to have any traffic impacts based on the traffic study. We'll be gated and private. We're going to give you now about $5.3 million in fees for impacts, over $4 million in annual property taxes, $5.3 million annually in goods and services. This will be restricted to 55 and older with no school age kids. There won't be any kids going to any of your schools. And we have agreed to a maximum CO number per year, and we're projecting, and this is very important because I hear a lot of people worried about the size of this community. Oh, we're not doing 785 homes in 1 year. We're doing it over 8 to probably 10-year period. And it will ebb and flow. Some years will have better than others as far as sales. Sometimes, the economy goes down. We would probably average about 100 home sales a year, plus or minus, on average. If we got this project approved and we got an LDP, it would take us 2 years from getting an LDP to sell the first house. Because all the infrastructure you have to do with the water, sewer, off-site road improvements, just getting the first phase, the model home park, it'll take about 2 years to sell a house. So there's a lot of upfront cost involved in these types of developments, a lot of risk, but we're willing to take it. We appreciate the opportunity. We want to be part of this community. I think we've done everything we can to appease folks and talking to folks, and look forward to talking to you more.
Questions? I have a couple.
Yes, sir.
So you heard Richard read all the stipulations?
Yes, sir.
All agreed to all those?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And it's my understanding y'all build these as you sell them, correct?
Yeah, we don't spec build. We'll do a few, but usually we have them under contract and then build them because that's the only way we want to do it. And typically, Mr. Thurman, we have a waiting list, like at the one I don't think you went, but the rest of y'all went to. It's about 700 couples on the waiting list just to buy a house. So we like to do, it's just in time manufacturing. We don't want to, build a house and then not like it, or, we kind of try to build what people want.
At what point in your timeline do you think you would impact Frank Bruce Road on the backside?
It'd probably be halfway through the project. We're gonna do our construction traffic. We'll probably be on 53, primarily coming into the front. Probably during the latter half of the project, we'll start impacting Frank Bruce. We'll have to set a bridge, so we'll have to do a dirt road or some kind of gravel road that we can drive on, because we'll have a crane come from that direction and a crane come from 53 and we'll set that bridge at that time, but most of our activity will be on the 53 side, but it will eventually get to the back of the development.
One of the things that in my research that I looked at is the potential to connect to Perimeter Road. Did y'all look at that?
We did. We actually wanted to, and we looked at the cost. There's two things going on here. There is a environmental cost involved in that because the slope coming down to Palmer Creek is very severe. It's more severe than where we're crossing at Palmer. And then just the cost of doing a bigger bridge, it would be millions of dollars. And we actually even looked at doing a golf cart bridge. We really wanted to do that. We thought, well, that would be awesome to have that direct shot into Dawsonville, but even that was cost prohibitive and the damage it would cause. Now, to connect to the city, we would like to do eventually, we'll have our sidewalk and all that on 53. And I think eventually either come in on 53, you can't do golf cart stuff on the state highways. So you'd have to come on Perimeter, maybe go up Allen Road or something like that. But we do want golf cart and walking connection, because we're pretty close by, to Dawsonville, because we're going to probably help energize the town, and you're going to see a lot of, I would say, more locally owned restaurants and things of that nature and types of activity.
One question I have.
Yes, sir.
You're going to build the model homes first, is that correct?
That is correct.
Where at on the map will that be?
If you look at the clubhouse.
Yep.
They'll be right across the street.
Okay.
So you'll cross Palmer and they'll be on your right, I believe, if I recall, and it's the opposite side of the, is that correct?
Yeah, they're across from the amenity at the, just before you get to the first intersection.
Okay.
And those will be 12 fully decorated models. Because the reason we do that, it's very unusual, and it's millions of dollars to do that, but the buyer that we have wants to see the product. They want to see every plan that we have. We don't do every elevation because, there's like 4 or 5 elevations with every plan, but they can see every plan, and we just turn them loose and let them go look at houses, and no pressure, just to make a decision.
So if somebody wants to buy one of these and they come to you and they want to get on your waiting list, and let's say their number gets called and it's their time, what does that process look like?
What typically happens, Mr. Stowers, is they will come in and select the house. They'll meet with one of our sales agents. They'll put money down. They'll pick out all the things they want, and that takes about 4 hours because we offer a lot of different upgrades and things of that nature. And they will sign all these documents. So we'll have them on a list. So when we get to them, they'll be, ready to go. And then they are very active in looking at the house and making sure all the things that, that we do are what they have signed up for the contract. And we have a person dedicated to that couple that will work with them through the whole process and help them pick out their stuff, but also make sure that, they're communicated with from the builder. Because we'll have about 6 builders, we call them builders, who we build the houses, that they'll be in that community, and they'll have buyers that they work with to build the houses.
Another question I have is, I saw you had quite a few projects y'all have in other parts of the southeast here. If somebody moves into this, what does the lifespan for that couple or individual typically look like? Do they typically stay in these for 10 years, 20 years?
Well, it depends. I mean, so remember what this is. This is an active adult. This is not assisted living.
Sure.
These are people that are active. They want to do things. They want to come together, exercise, all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I'd be telling you something erroneous if I told you I knew exactly, but typically they're going to be here a while, because you got to remember, this is the house that they're buying after their kids leave their house. So they're finally getting the house they want, and they're going to trick it out. So usually what happens, either if they have to move because the grandkids moved, because job location don't move, because that's what they're chasing, kids, basically, most of the time, grandkids. Or they have an infirmity or a health issue that they have to go to some more assisted living type facility.
But typically, we're not seeing transient people who move
No,
in, population that's going to be here for a year or two and move on.
No, you look, these houses are hard to get a hold of, and like you go to Lanier, the one we did on 369, you don't see a lot of for sales. It's a special kind of people. And I'm going to be honest with you. Does everybody in that age group want to live in this kind of community? No. We serve about 30 to 35% of the active adult population, right? That want to live in that type of community. 70% want to live in land or a traditional neighborhood. You know, everybody's got their own different thing, but not a lot of transit. They love their houses and they're very loyal. And I will add this, speaking of which, if you look at Crestwind Lake Lanier, if you read in the paper a few weeks ago, they raised $1 million for the local community over the last few years. That was their goal and they did it. So they give a lot of money. They're very proud of where they live. And I think you would be happy with the type of people that move into this community.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Other questions?
For clarification point, one of the things you have on your preservation plan is your grading plan, I guess, and it's highlighted in red, which would be your disturbed area, and you're doing this in phases. So you would essentially, what we've seen in the past is some of these projects, there's one very close to this, that the whole property was just every tree is gone on it. That's not the goal of,
No.
or not what you're going to do, not the goal, but what you're going to do.
That is correct. And when people have a misconception of what mass grading is, in your vernacular, maybe you're saying mass grade is, they just came in the whole site and just did everything. We mass grade in the area that we're developing. Because when mass grade means we're actually developing the lots and the road and the stormwater systems all at one time. But we're not going out there and what a common person may say is mass grading the whole site. Because, and here's why, because the premiums we get for lots is based on the trees that we have. All right. People buy homes because they want the trees behind them. And in fact, when we see a tree that we really like and if we had to put the road through there, we're going to spade that tree and move it to a new location. And we've done that many times. We've actually come up and took a tree out and moved it because we wanted to keep that tree. But trees are our number one thing. Go ahead.
Or design around.
Our design around. Yeah, we've done that too.
I think, I guess for my clarity, my agriculture background, clear cut would be what you don't do. You don't go in and clear cut a property.
We only
You're-
clear the
you're
areas.
talking That very finite area in which you're going to put the lots.
Yeah.
It'll happen in phases. I mean, I think we're projecting 4 to 5 phases. So we'll go in and do the first phase, whatever it is, 40, 50 acres or whatever. Develop those lots, get that platted, and then we'll wait till the timing's right to continue to the next.
Yeah,
phase.
that's my point, is you're not going to come in and grade the whole 700
No,
out
absolutely
now.
not.
You're going to do it 50 lots at a time, and it could take several years.
It'll take 8 years.
8 to 10 years. Yep. Good question. Any
Other questions?
Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. At this time, I'll open the hearing. Anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Come on up, please sign in, give us your name and your address, and then you will have 3 minutes.
My name is Michael Turner, 51 Hedgewood Lane, Dawsonville, Georgia. I'm here to represent the Turner family, and that extended family is Turners, Tatums, McKees, and Tuckers. We first migrated to this area in approximately 1815, which was well prior to the formation of Dawson County. I am one of the 26 members of the B&K Turner Family LLP. I'm the general partner along with Grady Turner, the executor. Our family has owned this property since 1931. And if this application is approved before this property is completely developed, we will have paid property taxes for 100 years on this property. If the, excuse me there. We understand that the adjoining property owners, in some cases object to this, not all of them. We understand that people in the community object to it. The Turner family is certainly sympathetic to their objections, but we know this is a great project for the county. And in our situation, because of the increase in taxes and the carrying cost of property, the Turner family has to divest itself of these larger parcels. I also want you to know that those 26 family members that own this property are all related to Betty and Kenneth Turner by blood or marriage. All but 7 of those members are either former or current Dawson County residents and graduates of Dawson County High School. So we are local. We've been local for 200 years. Hopefully in another 200 years, there'll still be Turners here making a difference in Dawson County. I want you to know that, that we've depended on timber harvesting and growing and hunting fees to be able to pay the property taxes and defray the cost on this kind of a parcel. We just can't do that anymore. I want you to understand that the decisions to choose this builder was after interviewing over 12 of the top 20 national builders who had plans to either clear cut this property, put 700 to 1,200 homes on it, make all the impact on the schools and what goes on there. And we chose them because of the quality that they do. And in closing, I would like to say thank you to the Board of Commissioners and the professionalism and
Time is up.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here to speak in favor of the application? Come on up. Please sign in, give us your name and your address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name's Grady Turner. I live at 2599 Hauser Mill Road. Lived here all my life. Will live here till the day I die. The Magic Dam property is, those of us who have lived in Dawson County for many years, which is what this is property that is very special to us. Like my brother Mike said, I've had it in the family a long time. My mother, who taught, would take her fall and spring classes down to Magic Dam every year. And when I was teaching, the science classes would ask me, can we go down there and do experiments? We'd let it do it. We understand that. This is not something we enter to lightly. This is very, very personal. Now, there have been a lot of things, a lot of rumors out about this, that, and the other thing. We've had a lot of prominent people who have shown an interest in this property. And on 3 occasions, we've met with some of those. Some of y'all may be aware of that. Their business model was not what we wanted. We wanted a company that would benefit Dawson County with the least amount of impact. And this serendipitous opportunity came to us through Coulter Homes. There have been multiple research is done on this type of community. You can find them. I didn't believe some of them either, but I did a lot of research and you can find it. They are not impactful like other subdivisions. They have great benefits to the community with the least amount of impact. They are quality. And Mr. Showers, you asked about a turnover rate. The research shown is their turnover rate is greatly reduced compared to any other type of subdivision there is. They don't have high turnover. This is a great opportunity for Dawson County. Now, you're going to hear a lot of stuff from people who are about the traffic and everything, and it's already been spoke, so I don't want to repeat that. There's a lot of misinformation. Now, we have had, understand that it's been described that this situation is something like a rocket ship. Well, I just want to clarify. It's not a rocket ship. Elon Musk has not contacted us about this subdivision, nor are we going to contact him. Might not be a bad idea, but that's not what we're doing. We want a community that will provide maximum amount of dollars, lower impact, and this is the type of vision we've headed for. My dad used to say, son, don't cut off your nose to spite your face. This is a golden opportunity for Dawson County.
Time is up, Mr. Turner.
Let's not cut off our nose to spite our face.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone else here to speak? Come on up. Please sign in, give us your name and your address, and then you will have 3 minutes.
My name's Jeff Glover. I actually live in Forsyth County. I do have some land in Dawson County that I'm building a business on now. My family's been in Forsyth County since the Indians, I say, similar to the Turners here. I got to know the Turners when I was looking for land here to build a business. Most of my comments are not exactly specifically directed to you so much as it is to the Dawson County citizens. I'll just start by saying that, my family's had some land in Forsyth that we have sold. And so we've been through some of this, not on this scale. But for example, we recently, about a year ago, had a 10-acre pasture in Forsyth. We went to sell it. The neighbors complained. They didn't want it. What they wanted was a pasture in their backyard with cows on it. Well, at our cost. Well, we moved the cows away like 10 years ago. And my dad said, well, they complained, the neighbors. And he said, well, if they want to come out there every day in the wintertime and feed them hay, I didn't see them offering to do that. So, and then when we went to sell the land, my dad said, I've held that land for 50 years. How long would they like me to hold it? They were welcome to buy, the neighbors were welcome to buy the land. They chose not to. What were we to do? Keep paying taxes, keep holding the land for someone else? It didn't make sense. My parents are 87 years old. So I just think that, I can see from an emotional standpoint where folks wouldn't want their backyard to turn into a subdivision. I understand that 100%. But then again, from the landowner standpoint, I think they have the right to sell. I don't think that it's reasonable that folks should feel entitled to someone else own hundreds of acres behind them and keep it all nice and, it just not. I don't think folks are entitled to that. I understand the emotions. I would feel the same way, but the reality is, I think people shouldn't feel entitled. I think the developer that I don't know, they made good points about, low traffic such as that. I think the problem with, if you want to call it that, with development is that America and Georgia and Dawson County in specific are attractive because the politicians, the people have done a good job of making a good place to live. So people want to move here from other countries, from other states. It's going to happen unless we have a plague or something. So what do you want in your backyard?
Your time's up.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Anyone else here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone else? Come on up, please sign in, give us your name and your address, and you will have 3 minutes.
Space, sorry.
All right.
My name is Warren Welch. I live at 278 Patton Drive in Dawsonville, off 53 Hughes Towers Road. I'm a local real estate agent specializing in residential land development all over the state of Georgia. More important than that, I'm part of this deal. Way more important than that, I'm a husband, I'm a father of 3 kids that are in the school system. The oldest is 14. He's gonna be driving in a couple of years. We drive by this site every single day. I absolutely love the financial impact it's gonna make on our community. I absolutely love the fact that my children are gonna have a less traffic impact because of what we're doing here. So I'm very, very proud of that. The main reason I'm here, I wanted to go into a little bit of the background story to which Mike and Grady also went into. There was a lot of offers on this property. It was a feeding frenzy. Coulter Homes did not make the highest offer, to be fair. They also had I would also say the least aggressive approach. Most of the builders we met with, I discussed with, it was, we'll do what we got to do. We'll sue. We don't care. Well, I do care. Care a lot. Taxpayer here. I'm a citizen here. I'm proud that all y'all, whoever's here to speak against this project, is here to do it. I'm proud of things like that event that Mr. Leverett showed earlier. I'm proud to be a citizen here. So I don't want someone coming in here saying we're going to do whatever we want, because that's not the right thing. From the minute that we met with Coulter Homes, they were different. From the tour, it opened our eyes. It showed us very clearly, this is a quality project. This is the right fit. To speak to the Turners, I think every one of them have been through multiple Crestwood communities at this point, including Grady going to 1 or 2 in Florida. The diligence behind this decision has been huge. They care deeply about this property. To me, it's a no-brainer. And I understand the passion against it, but something's going to happen with this property. There's no better chance of getting something better than what we're going to get here. So thank y'all for your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak in favor of the application? Anyone else? Okay. Anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Come on up. Please sign in, give us your name and your address, and then you will have 3 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Susan Munson, 1512 Funk Bruce Road. First of all, I want to thank Larry King again, because like I said at the previous meeting, absolutely superb. A superb job, a superb community. And if I wanted to live in a 55 and above community, this would be the one I would go to. However, this is not the proper location for this particular project. And those that live in Dawson County and Dawsonville are aware of this. It does not take an Einstein to figure out this is not the appropriate location for this type of project. I do respect the fact that the Turners have every single right to do what they want with the property. Matter of fact, KK Turner and I talked about it many times when I would see him on Funk Bruce Road out there helping the homeless or making sure he found a job for somebody in the county, even if it was throw some tires on his property that I begged him to please stop doing. So anyway, with that being said, I understand the heart of the Turner as well. However, I want to thank you guys too for serving. It must be a difficult job for a time like this in Dawson County, being a very strong community and a very fast growing community. And now you're having to make some serious decisions. Well, what I would like to focus on that this is obviously a opposing for myself for this particular zone. I do live on Funk Bruce Road, but I do want to speak on behalf of Dawson County and Dawsonville citizens. And no, not all of them. We are in heartbreaking and disheartened because there is a lot of demolishing of properties and agriculture and also the rural area. One thing in reference to the demolishing of such beautiful is so many subdivisions. In reference to the 785 home, whether it takes 2 years or 8 years, it's still 785 home. The numbers don't change. We're still gonna have 1,400 yard cars, if not more. That does not change. It does make it an effect that one person's desire to change the zoning to affect and equate to the multiple of families who have invested millions of dollars within that 4 miles. People have moved in specifically, yes, you're right, for Dawson County and the beauty of it. And we want to keep it that way for the most part. If you are familiar with Dawson County, you know that Frank Bruce Road and Seatick are automatically under construction for a 137 reservoir to the Seatick side. Then we have the gas line smack in the middle. Go down, if we start this project, now we're gonna have construction for 785. Makes no sense whatsoever, not just for my road, but for the location, the school system, the agricultural school, which it'll wrap around.
Ma'am, your time is up.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone else? Come on up. I think the gentleman behind you was first. Come on up, sir. Please sign in, give us your name and your address, and you will have 3 minutes.
Bill Ledbetter, 51 Virgil Lemon Lane. I've known the Turners for over 30 years. Betty and KK used to come and have breakfast with us every Saturday morning. Great people. I don't want to stop them from building what they want to build and do what they want to do with their own property. That's theirs. They've earned it. They've earned that right. What I'm here today about is my privacy. Now, Mr. Long said that they don't build their houses back to back because nobody wants to look out their back door and see another house. Well, I have to sit on my porch and see 40 because my property line is their property line on Virgil Lemon Lane. My driveway is right on the property line. You know, I'm not crazy about it. I like my privacy. We've been there for 33 years. I enjoy my privacy. I asked for a fence. I would like to have a privacy fence on the buffer or on the line. I don't care which one, as long as I get a fence and some privacy. Now, that's going to be an 8 to 10 year project. I've got to listen to construction for 8 to 10 years. I may not live 8 to 10 more years. The noise alone might kill me. But I love it on that hill. Another thing I want to bring up is Ms. Long was talking about a sidewalk on 53. Where's it going to end? At my driveway? Do the people walk out into the road to go into Dawsonville? Do they come up on my property? Because I own both lots, 27 and 51. And then the school owns the property up to Perimeter Road. So how is that sidewalk going to, where's it going to be, a sidewalk to nowhere? Like I said, I love the Turners. I've known them for 30 years, have no problem with that property, other than I want my privacy. And I want a fence. I don't want a berm that somebody can walk over. I want a fence down that buffer or wherever they want to put it. I don't care. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Come on up. Sign in, give us your name and your address, and then you will have 3 minutes.
Got my timer.
We got one too.
Jacob McGough, 1037 Seatick Road. I grew up in Alpharetta and moved there in the summer of 95 with my family. I remember growing up there. There were a few neighborhoods, but it was mostly rural. Cumming was barely a blip on the map. Now they're indiscernible from any suburb inside the 285 perimeter. I moved here last year after being assigned to Camp Merrill as a ranger instructor, and I specifically picked Dawsonville because of its quiet rural aspect. While I may be new to the area, I'm not new to the suburban sprawl. This community has been sold to the public as a low-impact infrastructure with a 55 and up demographic. This isn't some quiet retirement community. This community would increase local traffic up to 600% per their own numbers on our two-lane country roads, namely Frank Bruce and Seatick. That doesn't even include construction traffic that will completely congest the entire surrounding area over the next 8 to 10 years. I'm right near the pipeline and the reservoir, so I've seen the chaos those have created on Seatick. This won't impact, the seller, the seller's day-to-day life like it will every single person here. This is already zoned residential suburb, there are already zoned residential suburban town areas here. This rezoning from rural ag previously established would fundamentally change this community and begin the suburban sprawl outside of city limits into the more rural areas. No one here is arguing that growth isn't inevitable. I don't think anyone's opposed to the idea of the community. We're also not feeling entitled about the sale. We're upset at the attempt to rezone and change regulations about it. Does rezoning this meet the intent of the comprehensive plan written 2 years ago? I don't think many people here would say it does. I just have 2 questions for the board. What's changed so significantly over the last 2 years to quantify a rezone? And why is there a debate about going back on zoning and setback regulations? Don't turn Dawsonville into the next Alpharetta.
Thank you.
What was your second question?
Sorry.
You're good.
Says, why is there currently a debate or discussion about going back on zoning and setback regulations that have been clearly established?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Come on up. I think, come on up. You're next, come on. Please sign in, give us your name and your address, and you will have 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
I'd like to. My name is Patrick Munchin. I live at 1512 Frank Bruce Road, right next to this rocket ship, proposed rocket ship. The vast majority of this property is zoned residential agriculture. Regardless of whether they meet the Dawson County Comprehensive Plan, you have the authority to say yes or no to rezone this property. Is it in the best interest of Dawson County? I've lived on Frank Bruce Road for 26 years, and the rezoning of this property from RA will greatly affect the beauty and peace of my property, as well as that of the tranquility of our neighborhood. This is a massive project, the biggest one in Dawson County, that will greatly affect not only us, but the citizens of Dawson County. As I outlined to all of you in my email and PowerPoint presentation, Dawson County is on fire. We are the fastest growing county of our size in the nation and the 5th fastest growing county in the United States of America. There are 700 home sites that have been approved by the city of Dawsonville that will soon be under construction, that will demand our EMS services and add at least 1,000 cars to our roads. There are 500 other homes that the Board of Commissioners has approved up to 400 corridor and Blacksmill roads that are also approved for building that will also put demand on these services. If you approve these 785 homes, you'll be pouring gasoline on the fire with additional stress on services and an additional 1,000 or more cars added to the infrastructure. It will take 10 years to increase the road capacity. You have the authority to say no. This should be a very easy decision. If you want to do what's best in interest of Dawson County citizens, say no. If you want to do what's the best interest of our roadways, services, and EMS systems, say no. If you want to respect the rights and property values of long-term residents on Frank Bruce Road, say no. If you want to follow the will of the people who elected you, say no. In kindergarten, we used to get worksheets where you would identify same and different, kind of like this. If you drive down Frank Bruce Road, Seatick or North Seatick, you will see homes with acreage, residential agriculture, the same, the same, the same, the same. But now this owner wants to add different and exceed the number of units on this property by approximately 7-fold.
Incidentally, some of the aerial photos you see here are homes that are located directly across the street from this proposed project. They were part of this tract, this larger tract of land, and they were sold under the current classification of residential agriculture. And these owners developed this property with acreage. This is still a lucrative option that this owner has to develop his property. The niece of Frank Bruce lives next to me. She has lived in the same house since 1938. Her 4 siblings also live on our road or the connecting gravel roads. I presented to Mrs. Bruce dozens of petitions signed by our neighbors requesting the
Mr. Musher,
denial.
your time is up.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Come on up, ma'am. Please sign in, give us your name and your address, and then you will have 3 minutes.
Hey there. I'm Sarah Forster, and I am with my boyfriend on Tick Road as well. I'm also a healthcare provider that has come to the area, and we've had enough of the construction. We are right on the pipeline, and they put a big, black, ugly fence right in our backyard. And like the concerns that we've already been hearing about, I shared those same opinions. And it's a great idea, just somewhere different. That's all I think we're saying. And we picked up this location because we fell in love with the rural area, how quiet it is, and it's really in line with what we see for ourselves staying here and being established for a long time. And this is just going to be in direct opposition to what the reason we even came here for. So that's all I would like to share.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak in opposition? Come on up. Please sign in, give us your name, your address, and you will have 3 minutes.
Okay, my name is Stephanie Petrosky. My address is 106 Thorndale Lane, which is in Rain Hill subdivision, just a couple minutes away. So I understand that it's allowable to be rezoned under the 2023 Dawson County Comprehensive Plan. I think it's interesting that if you look at the picture on the contents page, it shows like one vehicle on that circle going around the old courthouse. And that's just not the look we're going to have if we continue to approve all these rezonings and these developments. We're talking about this development in isolation, but the truth is it exists in the context of a bunch of other developments. It is a beautiful idea. Crestwind, I can understand the Turners with their legacy here of 200 years, wanting to do what they want with their land, which they can, if we just want it to stay in accordance with how it's currently zoned, instead of, as Mr. Munchin pointed out, mismatching with the other people who have had land in this county. So it's not necessarily about developing the land, it's about the type of development and how it's going to congest like the downtown area. Like I have a 7 and 9-year-old daughter for whom I'm paying a babysitter, by the way, because I felt it was important enough to come here as a single sole caretaker mom and a full-time professional in the community. Like I care about this community and I want it to be the way it is into posterity. Yeah, that's not going to happen because you can't stop development, but the type of development that we continue to approve, and then we get upset and have a moratorium, and then we're like, oh, that's great, but no, the moratorium ends and we approve. 785 homes. Maybe it will have the traffic impact of 285 homes, but unless they're going to have a grocery store in their mini city, I don't see how that will lessen the impact in the local areas that we hold dear, that we want to preserve. The farmer's market, the food line. I love going to the food line. I can swing open my doors, get my kids in there. Pretty soon we'll have to creak open the doors and get out because there's going to be so many cars here, not just from Crestwind, but from everything we've been developing. So that's my biggest concern is the whole draw for people now making this county so fast growing is not going to be the look that we have. I grew up in Gwinnett County, moved to Forsyth. Just like the other man who moved from Forsyth to here, what, people are going to go to Jasper and then Blue Ridge and then to North Georgia and then out of Georgia? I mean, it just seems to be unchecked development. So it's not about necessarily Crestwind in isolation. It's just been talked about. It's Crestwind in addition to this development, that development, all these developments, the rezonings we hear about every time there's a meeting. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of point out that You know, as someone who lives here and is embedded in the community and loves Dawson County, I want it to be the Dawson County that my children like can appreciate from the way it is now. My 9-year-old last week just said during bath time, she said, I don't want to live in the country. I don't want to live in the city. I want to live in Dawsonville. And I was like, I didn't know how to take that because I knew this meeting was coming up. So anyway, I just wanted to point out that there's lots of issues with development in general. And with this Crestwind in combination with everything else, it just seems very worrisome for our future. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Come on up. Please sign in, give us your name and your address, and then you will have 3 minutes.
My name is Anton Demidov, 204 Windy Hill Drive. Question to the board, why nobody asked and had any concerns about the request to change the setbacks. Everything is great about the project, but the setbacks, it just ugly. It's completely out of line. It's completely out of what we are doing here, right? I would understand setback like 25 feet to 10 feet, okay, but 3 feet, house to house, okay, eve to eve, they're just ridiculous. It just will, people come here to Dawson County because we are beautiful. We heavily invested in it. I have 11-acre property array just next to them, and it's part of the beautification of us. And they want to create this scar on the body of our county. With that subdivision, it's just not right. I don't think they setbacks is right. We need to do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone? Come on up. Please sign in, give us your name, your address, and you will have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Steve Gwynn. I live at 74 Seatick Road. We moved up here, my wife and I moved up here just over a year ago from Gwinnett County. And one of the reasons we moved up here, as other folks have mentioned, is the beauty of Dawson County. And in particular, when we moved to Seatick Road and we were looking at properties out there, we were walking different properties. One of the things we noticed was the lack of traffic on Seatick Road. There was just, I mean, you could be out there for 10 minutes and not see a car go by. And that's one of the things that drew us to this particular property, was just the beauty of it and the quiet nature of it, the fact that it's zoned RA. So we knew that, well, we're safe because there are going to be minimum 5-acre lots here. So we're not going to have this development that we had seen when we lived in Gwinnett County. And so if we were to approve this rezoning, obviously we're going to have all these additional cars and things. And Mr. Long mentioned that's the equivalent of 290 cars based on the time of day because they don't have kids in school and things like that. That's still a lot of cars. That's still a lot of traffic. That doesn't address the other, not just the residential traffic of the people that live there, but Amazon deliveries, people get Amazon all the time. That's a lot of Amazon trucks in and out of that development. And other things, utilities and things like that. If there's the water company needs to go in there and make repairs, or the phone company, things like that. So there's a lot of ancillary traffic that'll be generated by this type of a development. So I would suggest or ask you to deny this rezoning request. I don't think any of us feel entitled or anything like that, that the Turners can't do with this property what they like. As long as they maintain the current zoning of residential agriculture to keep those 5-acre lots. So we keep that particular stretch of Frank Bruce and Seed Tick, you know, as it is now, where we have the big 5-acre lots or bigger, and you have that privacy and all that extra room. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Come on up. Please sign in, give us your name, your address, and then you will have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Richard Gwynn. I am, my younger brother is Steve Gwynn. I too moved up here with my wife from Gwinnett County. We moved up here 3 years ago. We bought a piece of property that is actually directly across from the Frank Bruce contact stretch of this proposed neighborhood on Frank Bruce Road. I echo what the others have said about how accommodating Coulter and Larry Long have been. We met about moving the entrance to the neighborhood a little bit north on Frank Bruce Road because the entrance was literally directly across from my driveway. So he did help us with that. But like my brother said, we moved up here. Our piece of property is a little over 12.5 acres, and it's the smallest one on my side. I'm directly opposite it. So we moved up here to have a very bucolic, quiet, rural type of environment to spend the rest of our years on. We built our forever home on the property. And it's just the nature of this development, almost 800 homes, highly dense homes. It seems more in character with what 53 has become, and to a degree what Perimeter has become. It is like completely out of character for what Frank Bruce Road and Seed Tick Road have. So I guess I just wanted to express that it's inconsistent with the type of homes and the properties and the development and just the whole character of the backside of this. Mr. Thurman, one of you mentioned about Perimeter and another entrance on a Perimeter, and Larry mentioned about the cost prohibitiveness of that. I too would have loved there to be, if it's going to happen, something going on to Perimeter in 53 instead of 53 and Frank Bruce. The intersection of Seed Tick at the bottom end of the road on Etowah River Road, that's a troublesome intersection. It's quiet, but it's going to be impacted a lot by the cars that are going to go out the back way of the neighborhood onto Frank Bruce Road. That would also affect North Seed Tick, or it would also affect Frank Bruce going out onto Highway 9. And it certainly is going to impact Etowah River Road and 53 right across from Thompson Road. And that's a troublesome intersection, as you all know now. So anyway, I just wanted to express my opposition to it. At the very least, the nature of the entrance on Frank Bruce Road, it would be great if it could be residents only or even emergency only entrance back there on Frank Bruce Road, if that's something that you all could consider. You know, make it so that's not
Your time is up, sir.
residential traffic. Thank you.
Yep. Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Come on up. Please sign in, give us your name, your address, and you will have 3 minutes.
Name's Joseph Ciotti, 898 Seed Tick Road. We were drawn to Dawson County because of how open it was and because the county commission had passed the ruling that it would be RA is 5 acres. Single family home, 5 acres. And when I bought the property on SeaTick, I got my truck stuck out front. And I was standing there for 30 minutes. And there wasn't a single car that went by in the year 2000. I invested $1 million because I thought my neighborhood was going to be 5-acre, single-family homes. And this isn't it. And having an exit on having these houses be able to access Frank Bruce or SeaTick is a horrible idea. The intersection, as was said before, at SeaTick and Etowah River is so tight of a curve that you got to be careful coming out of there because the cars are coming around at 45, 50 miles an hour. This is just going to make it worse. Everything about this project is going to make our environment worse. And it's going to betray why I bought here. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone? Seeing none, I'll close the hearing. All right, let me say this to start with. Let me say I appreciate everyone who has shown up in reference to whether you were for or against to present your thoughts and things to the Board of Commissioners. That's what we want. We want people to come and tell us their thoughts and what they think. But with that being said, has been stated a couple of times, the request for rezoning of this property is within our comp plan. It does meet the comp plan. And they could have asked for 3 houses per acre. They did not. They asked for 1.74. And we want to talk about RA property. I've lived here my whole life. Ever since I was born in this county, lived here my whole life. Every inch of Dawson County used to be RA. Every single inch of property used to be RA. Zoning came into effect in the 90s into this county, and it came into effect from a sole commissioner who had a vision of that we needed some kind of zoning to make sure that it wasn't just a helter-skelter deal. Because we didn't have zoning, we wouldn't be here tonight hearing from you. They could do whatever they wanted to, whenever they wanted to. So zoning came about. The county puts a lot of effort into the comp plan. Everybody has an opportunity to express their opinion in that comp plan. We have multiple hearings before the comp plan is ever adopted. Now, on the last time we redid the comp plan, we had 264 people who actually responded. 264. And there's a lot of talk about growth. Yes, Dawson County is growing. Dawson County is a desirable location for people to go. It really is. I mean, I'm not going anywhere. I lived here for 65 years, and whenever they throw dirt on top of me, I will still be here. So, with that being said, Georgia's also a property rights state. So the Turners who own this property have a right to sell it. And they have a right to sell that property to someone that they have done the research on and looked at and said, okay, this meets the land use plan that's been approved. And so that's what they've brought forward. So, you know, am I a big fan of 785 homes? No. But it does meet the land use plan. And the land use plan is the guide by which the Board of Commissioners uses, developed with participation from the community of anyone who wanted to participate during that process. So we're here today. There's been talk about, you know, roads and things like that. And one of the things that we've done and we ask the citizens to help us with, because we understand the congestion of the roads, whether it's 53, whether it's Frank Bruce Road, whether it's 9 South, North, East, West, it doesn't really matter. There's congestion. We asked the citizens to help us with that so that we could help try to fix some of these choke points with T-Splosh. And then over the next several years, we will do that thanks to the citizens that are that voted yes for that T-Splosh. There's talk about public safety. Yeah, we've had some challenges in public safety, but it's not been primarily based on growth. That's not been our challenge. Our challenge in public safety has been competing with the job market. We spent millions of dollars, this board has, over the last few years to get competitive in the job market, both salary-wise and benefit-wise. And then at our last meeting, thank goodness our county manager was able to tell us that that's starting to pan out and we're almost at full staff. And I appreciate that, but because the board has made all that effort. So, you know, I worked in public safety for 35 years, so I fully understand public safety as well as anybody there is, because that's what I've done before I become a chairman. And so I appreciate what everybody's had to say. Like I say, it's the board's decision to make. The board has to look at several things. They have to look at what the land use plan says. They have to make sure they ensure the property rights for those people who own the land, and that they are treated fairly and according to the law. And so that's the challenge that we face as a group here to make these types of decisions. But I do appreciate listening to everyone, and I appreciate the time that you took to come and talk to us. So what is the pleasure of the board?
I actually have a couple questions, Larry, for you. On the variance request page, number 5 says to reduce minimum driveway length from 22 to 14 with a minimum 20-foot length from the back of the sidewalk to the face of the garage. And I could be doing math wrong, but then number 8 says sidewalks, 4 feet wide sidewalks. That math doesn't add up to me. 14 to 4 is 18. It doesn't meet the minimum length from the back to the garage, unless I'm missing something there.
Dustin, you might want to help, but I think we still have 20 feet. We don't want cars in the sidewalk, just like, yeah. So we don't want that either, but the way we're designing it, we still have that footage to allow the car to be out of the sidewalk. I know it's confusing to me because I didn't.
Allow for it to be out. That's where if we're taking the minimum driveway, am I reading that wrong? If we're taking the minimum driveway.
We have some house plans where the front of the house sits forward and the garage sits further back, so you can still have a 20-foot from the sidewalk to the garage door, but it allows pull the house a little bit forward from a setback standpoint.
Okay, but if you have a driveway length that meets a 14 minimum and the sidewalk's 4, you're not meeting the minimum of the full length that's necessary for, what am I missing? It's the very last page.
Is the question, do we still have 20 feet from the garage?
Well, it's saying the request is to reduce the minimum driveway length from 22 feet to 14 feet.
Yeah.
And then with a minimum of 20 feet length from the back of the sidewalk, so from the roadside, right? From the roadside? Or is it from,
We want.
Back of the sidewalk.
The back of the sidewalk.
To the.
is that not this
garage.
side? That's this side? Okay, that's what I'm reading wrong. That's why I wanted to clarify.
Outside.
Okay, I look at backside because clearly construction is
I
not my
didn't understand
thing.
either. That's not a question.
Okay, perfect. Love that.
Larry, I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
You know, there were some concerns brought up about the kind of the ancillary traffic on Frank Bruce.
Right.
Are UPS, Amazon, you know, whatever kind of delivery truck, FedEx, anybody else, are they going to have an access point in that back, or can we make that resident only entry?
Yes, we can. Eventually, when we finish construction and we can have all that visitor traffic come on.
So can we
PT3.
put that in a stipulation
Yeah,
to be
absolutely.
resident traffic only after construction phase is completed?
Yes, absolutely. And by the way, the HOA, when they take over, will actually, though they may end up like on Lanier, they actually have a guard. We didn't do that during the construction, but they have a guard full-time. Usually during development, we keep the gate up for certain times of day for people to come in and out. And then we close it at like 6 o'clock during the night. But at Lanier, they basically have a guard now that you can't even come in there anytime. But it's just during development. But yeah, we can put that stipulation in.
Seth, I'd like to add to make sure that we allow emergency vehicles to that back area. not
No,
residential
yeah.
zone.
Did you
Yeah.
get that, Richard?
That's absolutely.
Emergency entrance as well. I would like to say to the Turners, I don't know that, y'all may have spent more time on that property, but I don't know that anybody in this room has run as many miles on that property as I have as a high school cross-country runner for 4 years. Magic Dam property became a trail that we ran pretty much on a daily basis unless if we were doing speed days. And so at the time, the coach would just say, go run 12 miles in one day. And that, I would say of that 12 miles, I would say probably 10 and a half to 11 of that was on Magic Dam. You know, I certainly hear all the concerns. I see the property rights. This parcel has served a lot of purposes over the years, and thankful for what it means to me. It may not mean as much to me as it does to you. But this decision does not come lightly for myself. However, I decided to vote on this because of the meaning it has to me and the miles that I tread on there. And there were some points that were brought up by several different individuals about unchecked development, unchecked growth, all these 700 homes, I think, in the city. That has nothing to do with us. 400 homes at 400 approved by the commissioners, unchecked growth. 2.5 years, there's not been a single house approved in a development by this board. 3 of us have not even voted on any development in this county. To Larry's point, 2 to 3 years from the time they get the LDP before a first house is sold. Some of this quote unquote unchecked growth, growth that's uncontrollable, this board has not taken part of that. And as a matter of fact, you know, we have hit the brake pretty hard. I met with Richard last week. I think Chris met with him today. On the moratorium and how we're going to look moving forward. Doesn't affect this zoning, but certainly I hope that the involvement that we have had in this rezone, I hope we get the same involvement as we're trying to redesign what the future of Dawson County looks like. You know, I've spoken to several of you on an individual basis, and I certainly hope that you continue to be involved because to Billy's point, he said 270 people participated, but I can only find 163 people that participated in the comp plan. We have over 23,000 registered voters. 163 participated in the comp plan. So if you weren't one of those 163 people who participated, you know, we need your advice. We need your help. You are what helps lay out the future of this county. And so as we continue to try to reshape the future moving forward, whether this vote goes your way or against your way, I hope you continue to stay involved. That's all I got.
I got a couple of things. I know that you guys don't care that we lose sleep over stuff like this because many of you said that you didn't care if it went anywhere else. You just didn't want it on Frank Bruce and Seed Tick. But we're a community. It doesn't matter about Frank Bruce. It doesn't matter about Seed-Tick. It's Highway 9. It's 400. I live on Harmony Church. It's Nick's Bridge Road. It's all the roads. You guys just don't want it there. It's very hard as a commissioner. And again, I know you don't care what it's like to be a commissioner, or else you'd probably just be one. But I'm sorry. Okay, well, good. Then we're on the same page. It's a big job and it's a really hard decision and it's a catch-22 and I haven't slept in 2 weeks. It's really an unfortunate place to be because it is right in the middle of a rock and a hard place. And, you know, I've heard so many times, just do what your constituents want you to do. Do you know how many emails and phone calls I've received for people who want this property? You can't just assume because you don't want it that everyone doesn't want it. So when you say to listen to your constituents, we're listening to all of them. We're trying to take it all in because there is a large group that wants it and there are a lot of people that don't because of the daily impacts that it have. We hear you, we feel you, we get it. I'm right on Nick, or on Harmony Church where the big Kylo Point subdivision is. My kid goes to Kylo. I get how big developments impact you specifically and how they can impact this community. Billy made a point that I want to touch on. He said that the Turners have the right to interview all these people that came that want their property. They also have the right not to interview any of them and to just sell the land to whoever for whatever they want to sell it for. That's not what they did. They didn't choose to do that because they live here, they're vested here, they're going to continue to live here. So they wanted the best. They chose as a family that this selling is what they had to do, but they didn't choose to just sell for the benefit of their family. They chose to look out for the rest of us when they didn't have to. Choose to look at it that way or not, that's the fact of the situation. Another thing is I had the unfortunate circumstance 2 weeks ago that I had to have 911 at my house. I had 2 EMTs and 2 paramedics. We haven't had that many paramedics on a call in a long time. And that's because, like Billy said, we're competing with just paramedic shortage countrywide, apparently specifically in Georgia. But I have to tell you that the 2 paramedics told me, one came from Emory and also Grady. She worked for both for years. She said that Dawson County is the biggest blessing she's had in the past 20 years as a paramedic. So we have a 20-year veteran that came to Dawson County to work for us, which is huge because we couldn't get paramedics. And now she said she graduated from the class here and she's been here for now a month and she is going to be at Station 8. And this is the best choice that she could make, and that we are sailing into a beautiful place to be for not countywide, but for fire and EMS. She said that our chief has set things up perfectly. Our commissioners have voted to make sure and spent money to make sure that we are where we are now. And she was like, we're in a great spot. We are finally in such a beautiful spot, and you guys provide such good care to your staff here. You guys only hear about the bad because that's all that anyone wants to talk about. No one wants to talk about the good. You want transparency? We are making strides in fire and EMS. They are working so hard, and we have tried our best to get them where they are financially so that we can bring people here. Everyone that has talked today has talked about growth and how they moved here to get away from growth. We've been one of the fastest growing counties for the past 8 years. So people that are still moving here to get away from growth, I'm not understanding that. That doesn't math for me. Ultimately, on this project, whatever way we vote, aside from whatever I vote, I have to look at the facts. And the facts are that the Turners have went above and beyond to find someone that is the best that's probably going to come to that property in Dawson County. And that does not take away from all the people that I hear saying that you don't want it. There's tons of stuff in Dawson County that we have now that I didn't want over the past 20 years. I hear you. We are in a moratorium to work hard on trying to make sure that we get our ordinances and our comp plan where they should be for the county. We have a new planning director that came in, or community development director that came in and says, you know, some of your ordinances don't fit for what you desire. Great. Show us where they fall short so that we can, during this moratorium, we can be as successful as possible for our citizens. So if you have feedback for that, please meet with us. Please don't post on Facebook. Email us directly so that we can hear you, so that we actually can have the conversation, so that we can understand you. And please continue to be a part of showing up, even if whatever you want isn't what you get on day one. Thank you. Larry, I have another question. I know that you talked to a couple of citizens that live in the different areas across the property about increasing buffer for them.
Yes,
What about the gentleman that talked about the privacy fence?
absolutely. We'll do that.
Thank you.
And we made that as an option, so.
All right, I make a motion that we approve ZA 2410 with the stipulations that were read into the record. In addition, add stipulation 24 that the rear entrance will be for resident and emergency services traffic only once construction is completed.
Can we also add the fence for the gentleman? The fence buffer? Can we add that to, as a stipulation?
Can amend my motion, sure.
Sorry, just add it. We have, no one's second.
Yeah, all right, so I'll amend my motion to include stipulation number 25, that the developer will install a privacy fence along Mr. Ledbetter's property line. Yep.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gaines, seconded by Commissioner Stowers. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Okay. All right, if I get everybody to take a seat, please, we're gonna get started back. If I get everybody to take a seat, please. We're gonna go ahead and get started back. I appreciate everybody. All right, we need everybody to take a seat so we can start back. Everybody, please take a seat so we can start back. So now we'll move on to new business. First up, we have consideration of Violence Against Women's Act Grant FY 2025 award acceptance. That total grant is $94,768. $71,076 of that is federal funds. $23,692 is local match, and that's used to offset salaries. Any other information needed? Motions?
Make a motion that we can approve the Violence Against Women Act grant.
Second.
Acceptance, okay. Motion by Commissioner Gaines, seconded by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. Next up, we have consideration of RFP 468-25 on-call engineering design and plan development services for road improvements. Robert brought that to us. There were several companies that he recommended. I'll read those off to you. Falcon Design, Gresham Smith, KCI Technology, Precision Planning, Rochester, and Spicer Group. Those are recommendations, and they would use those for different types of engineering design. Any other information needed?
Is the Spicer Group with Jim King? Is he on Spicer Group?
I don't know. He's back there.
Just verified.
All right.
Make a motion that we accept the proposals received and award a contract to Falcon Design, Gresham Smith, KCI Technologies, Precision Planning, Rochester, and Spicer Group, utilizing the hourly rate submitted in the respective response. And funds will be utilized dependent upon the road, but it will be approved either during SPLOST 7 or T-SPLOST resolution.
Motion by Commissioner Stowers.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Turkett. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. Next work we have consideration of IFB 471-25 site work for Harmony Church Road property, Fire Station 3, Fueling Center, and Potential Recreation Center. That's $922,960 to Martin Contracting, and also you'll be approving $135,655 for water line relocation with Etowah Water and Sewer Authority. So two different dollar amounts there, SPLOST 7 funding.
I make a motion to, oh, you know what? I don't have this up. What was the second number? I'm sorry. The 130?
135,655.
Okay, sorry. Make a motion to approve IFB 471-25 site work for Harmony Church Road property, Fire Station 3, Fueling Center, and Potential Recreation Center, $922,960 with Martin Contracting from SPLOST 7, and then $135,655 to Etowah Water.
Uh,
Do you need a 10%
Did I get all that one?
contingency on that 922? 960? Didn't staff ask for a
They asked-
10% contingency?
Joey?
Didn't they ask for a 10% contingency on the 906 or 922, 960?
Okay.
Add
I
that
could
to it.
just add that. Okay, add a 10% contingency on the $922,960 to Martin Contracting.
Okay. So we got a motion.
Second.
Commissioner Bruce, seconded by Commissioner Turkett. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0. Next up, we have consideration of proposed redesignation of vacant community development position from grade 14 to 11 for front counter permit and license reviewer. Richard brought that to us 2 weeks ago. Motions.
Make a motion that we approve the community development redesignation of a vacant community development position from grade 14 to grade 11 for front counter permit and license reviewer.
Motion by Commissioner Stowers,
Second.
second by Commissioner Turkett. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 3-1. All right. Next up, we have consideration of program management service for a new Rock Creek Park gymnasium. You heard that last week. That would be to Ascension Program Management, $84,000, and we would need to determine where those funds would come from. Impact fees. Okay. Ascension Program Management, $84,000, impact fees. Motions.
Make a motion that we accept the offer received and award a contract to Ascension Program Management in the amount not to exceed $84,000 to come from impact fees.
Motion by
Second.
Commissioner Stowers, seconded by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. No one signed up for public comment in this section. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you for your attendance.